Welcome. Welcome to the Kettner School of Business Annual CEO Lecture Series. We're so happy to have you here today. This is our signature event for the 2013-14 academic year, and we are delighted that you are here, and we are so honored to have Jenny Fulton of Miss Jenny's Pickles here with us. Let's give her a warm Catawba welcome. We are ending a very successful year, a year that has included the addition of 4 outstanding new faculty members, the continuation of the accounting initiative enabled by a generous anonymous gift of $1 million. This includes scholarships, student travel, and the CCIBA, Catawba College Institute of Business and Accounting, our new business institute offering continuing education to the region. The launching of new degree programs in business and communication, some exciting new events, including our very first Women's Forum, and going on now, the Big Idea Business Plan Competition. A new fundraising campaign launched by our Business Advisory Board with the goal of providing stipends to students that are participating in the community and the region in unpaid and low-paid internships over the summer and even into next fall. We've had collaborative international travel to Japan, led by Dr. Hake of the Business School and Dr. Fish of Music. And finally, the continuing transition of our students from the classroom to top graduate programs in the country and top firms in the country, aided by our strong academic programs and our innovative experiential learning program, preparing them for this transition. Now, I would like to take just a minute to recognize Mr. Ralph Kettner, retired CEO of Food Lion. Mr. Kettner. Thank you for all you do for the Kettner School of Business, for our community and beyond. You are truly an inspiration. Please note on your programs there will be time for question and answers after the event, and you're invited to a reception immediately after the talk, and it will be right outside in between the theater and the Crystal Lounge. Now, please welcome President Brian Lewis.
Well, good morning. Oh, we're a little livelier than that. Good morning. That's more like it. Really excited to have this event come around on the calendar again, because I think that it really is a great example of Catawba's approach to so many things. If you go back in the history of this lecture series, we have had CEOs of what you might call traditional business organizations, but we've also had people who have demonstrated an entirely new platform for business, like when we had the CEO of Lolly Wally Doodle, which is basically a business done entirely on Facebook. And then you have somebody like Jenny with a fascinating story to tell, a business that in some ways is early in its growth, but growing exponentially. And if you tie the common thread between all of these business models and all of these business types, it all begins really in 2 places. In the head, with an idea, a vision, and in the gut, that gut check where that entrepreneur says, gee, am I really willing to go all in? Am I willing to try something very different and see where it goes? And so I'm particularly excited to hear Jenny's story, because I think that it really is that perfect example of the head and the gut working together and showing a tremendous result. So Jenny, we're delighted to have you here, delighted to have all of you here at a place that we all believe is very committed to its mission, this idea of preparing our students to fulfill their highest potential. So I look forward to learning more about how Jenny fulfilled her high potential with the Great Pickle Company. So, thanks.
So welcome again. My name is Dr. Philip Frank, and I have the honor of introducing Ms. Jenny Fulton, our guest speaker today. But before I do that, I want to kind of give a backstory of how we got to this point today. For those that might not know me, I'm kind of the new kid on the block. This is my first year at Catawba. And as such, there's been a lot of learning curves. And I use the phrase learning curves because as I tell my little nephews, it's not that I'm making mistakes, it's that there's a learning curve in everything that I do. And as many of those learning curves, one in particular is trying to figure out how I'm going to teach some of the courses that I teach. One class in particular was international business. And as I do in that class, as I do for all my other classes, I try to find guest speakers to come in and give their real-life application of some of the ideas and experiences that they had to kind of make the abstract notions that we talk about in the classroom applicable in the real world. And that's how I first came aware of Miss Jenny's Pickles and her story. I became aware of it from its many acclimates that it's had over the years, just from the short period of time that it's been in existence. Not only acclimates from its food, as well as it's a wonderful product. If you have not had a chance to taste the pickles, I highly recommend them. They are delicious. But also from a business standpoint. It has been a feature story on 60 Minutes, written about in some of the top publications, Business Journal, Washington Post, as well as Forbes magazine, just to name a few. And in addition, recently, Ms. Fulton spoke in front of a congressional subcommittee hearing on export and small business development. I mean, she's a steward for small business development, both at the national level as well as the state level. And she's a pioneer of economic development both within the Piedmont region. So I knew without a doubt that it was paramount that I wanted my students to have an opportunity to hear her story. And then, so I reached out to her to see if she could speak to my class, and I learned something new. Again, one of those learning curve moments, that it was not only, her story was not only interesting just because of the business model that it represents, but that this business model was comprised of some wonderful individuals, one of which we have here today. Ms. Jenny's passion and drive for her business and her brand is, to be frank, contagious. It was after speaking with her the first time I spoke with her that I knew that her story needed to be told to a larger audience. So when I was given the opportunity to suggest possible guest lecturers, it was without a doubt I wanted to suggest Ms. Fulton. And I work with some wonderful colleagues in the Kettner School of Business who were behind me from the very get-go, saying, if we can get this to work, it'll be wonderful. And Ms. Fulton herself was right behind me to begin with, saying, Philip, if we can get this to work, it'll be wonderful. But that simple phrase about getting it to work, that is, as a newbie to the college, coming up with an idea and how to get it through fruition is within itself an own experience. And it's taken a lot of effort from many colleagues all around this campus to be able to get this event as it is today. So I'd like to thank one person in particular, Ms. Angela Bates, for all of her effort that she has put forth in getting today's activities possible. But one thing that I kind of came across with this experience was I got to meet a number of colleagues around the campus. And President Lewis mentioned this once before. There was a common thread, this desire to present wonderful opportunities and experiences to the students at Catawba College. And it was that commonality that even at moments where I thought that it was kind of difficult, that I kept drawing on and saying, yes, this will work. Well, it has worked, and I'm very thankful today to introduce Ms. Fulton for the 2014 CEO Guest Lecture Speaker.
Dr. Frank, thank you so much. I'm going to do my best to stand here, but I like to walk and talk, so y'all just hang on. First of all, I'm honored that each and every one of you came out to hear my story today, or our story in the pickle business. And like I told Angela and Pam, you know, any day I get to tell the Miss Jenny story, it's a great day. It is for me, and I hope it'll be a great day for you. So I'm going to take this out, if I can, because I just have to walk and talk. I want y'all to feel our passion. I want you to enjoy this. I'm a visual person too, so I put together a slideshow for you, because if I don't see it, I don't really get it all the time. And so with that, the first thing I want you to know is you can always reach me. My cell phone number is on every jar of pickles. I did that from day one, and I don't carry a business card, because if you get a jar of pickles, you have my cell phone number. If you like my pickles, I want you to call me. If you get a bad jar because it's food, things happen, I want you to call me, because I'm going to fix it. And it stops right with me. We don't pass the buck, and we don't have automation. I answer the phone, Jenny Fulton, I'm here to help you because you're helping me. Because when you buy that one jar of pickles, it matters. So with that, if we'll get started. And can everybody hear me okay? We're good? Okay. All right. Me and Ashley, here's what happened. Ashley got laid off in June of 2009. I was a stockbroker for 16 years. I was burned out. Ashley was my sales assistant at the time, and we had this really unique relationship. And you'll appreciate this. When you find that one person that gets you, you don't let them go. And because I'm high energy and, I'm driving the car all the time. Well, Ashley was the best partner I could ever find. So when she got laid off in June of 2009, the writing was on the wall. We were in the middle of that recession. I was next, and I said, Ashley, we got to stay together. Let's do something. Well, I'm the country girl. I'm from Forsyth County, born and raised. Ashley's from Atlanta, Georgia. She's a city girl. She'd never made pickles in her life. And I said, Ashley, I had the pleasure of now Susan Cameron, who now just returned to R.J. Reynolds. She was Susan Ivy when I had lunch with her. And I said, Susan, how in the world did you get to be the president of Reynolds? And she told a great story, and I'm going to share it with you real quick before I really get into this. She said, Jenny, I was in Kentucky, and I had just got my master's, and she said, I hated my job. I hated it. I was selling office equipment, those big fax machines and copiers. And she said, I was driving home, and I said, what do I enjoy? And I have her permission to share this story, by the way. She said, I enjoy makeup, cigarettes, and brown liquor. And I'm going to get me a job in the field that I enjoyed. And I said, okay. She said, so the one regret I have in life was I had an opportunity to own my own business, and I didn't take the risk. I was too scared. So don't work for glass ceilings. And if you ever have the opportunity to own your own business, do it. Take the chance. And so with that, when I got laid off, I'm sitting on the front porch with my husband, Bo Fulton, and I said, I just hate being a broker. I'm tired. I've done it. I got to do something. He was like, Jenny, you make really good pickles. And I went, yes, I do. And he said, and you got land at Mama's that you can grow your cucumbers. And I said, yes, I do. He said, why don't you start a pickle business? And I said, I think I will. Well, little did he know what he created by telling me I should start a pickle business. So really, it's Bo's fault. But we started I got laid off in January of 2010. So we started in my kitchen, and basically we took Mama's recipe, that's my grandmother who's passed away, and we started. Well, let me tell you something. When you're starting your own business and you want to be an entrepreneur, do not go to friends and do not go to family. Because they lie. They would tell me that jar of pickles was the best pickle in the world, and then they'd spit it out, okay? So what I did is I went to Smitty's, a little place I like to eat in Kernersville, and I sat on the picnic table out front, and I said, Smitty, I won't mess up your customers, but I need them to try the pickles. Because a total stranger has no emotional attachment to you, they're going to tell you the truth. People would eat our pickles and get too salty, too much vinegar. Well, we did this over and over, and what you have to understand is when you make that jar of pickles, it takes 7 to 10 days to ferment. So, we'd pour our heart and soul into making these pickles, and then 10 days later, somebody'd say, that's terrible. So we'd go back again. So it took several months, but then guess what happened? Somebody tried our pickles, and they said, can I buy this jar? I was like, Ashley, we did it. We're going to do it. So that's how we got started. So with that being said, what I will tell you is, I never know what day it is because I travel so much. It's April of 2014, right? Y'all want to see what happened over the last 4 years? Because it's pretty interesting. So with that being said, it was going to be named Mamie. That was my grandmother's name. Her name was already trademarked, Alabama. And I called the lady because I really don't take no for an answer too well. And I said, hey, I make pickles. You make cheese wafers. And can I use the name too? And she said, hell no. And I was like, are you serious? And she was like, I'm in all the fresh markets. And I simply said, congratulations. I'll see you there. We're in every fresh market. And I was like, thanks, I needed that. And the other good thing about it was, this company is bigger than me. It's bigger than Ashley. And you'll see that when we're doing this. Because had I used Mama's name, Mamie, everybody wants to know who's Miss Jenny. I would have had to say, my grandmother who passed away. Not cool. Not cool at all. So it ended up, plus I won the coin toss. You know, me and Ashley flipped for it. So this is Ashley. We went to NC State Pickle School. There really is a pickle school. I knew how to make pickles from growing up in Cannon, but Ashley had never done that. But I didn't know how to make it in the mass market. So we went to acidified foods so that we didn't kill people. It was a good thing, you know. In the very beginning, you can't make pickles in your house to sell to the rest of the world. So we went to my church, Fountain of Life, and our kids. I mean, that one in the red apron, that's Madison. She's 17 now. We're 4 years old, and we didn't know at the time you weren't supposed to put kids in the kitchen. So now they still help us some, but we don't take their picture, okay? But that's how it got started. This is very important, too, because as you can see, this is half a table, and that's Madison and Kennedy, my two girls, and that costs $50 just to be able to have people try our pickles. When you own your own business, it always costs more money than you ever know. I'm just going to tell you. We self-funded it. Nobody would invest in a pickle business. Now, you know, we work with Bank of North Carolina and BB&T. But in the beginning, you're by yourself, and it costs a lot of money. And we were so silly. Look, we really didn't know what we were doing. But you'll see. You'll learn. This is our very first food show. Everybody walked up to us, and that's North Carolina Specialty Foods Association, the Flavors. They do 2 shows a year. Well, they walked up to us, and as you can see, we were serving pickles in little plastic wine glasses. They laughed at us. They said, y'all are new. Y'all are so new, because we know how much that costs to give away that pickle. It was just the little things like that that happened. The other thing, okay, this is my field of dreams. This is my field of cucumbers. For 2 years, 2 solid years, 2010, 2011, this was our routine. And how me and Ashley didn't kill each other, I don't know. But, okay, we would take and deliver to, sorry, don't listen, Mr. Kettner, but Harris Teeter in the morning and at 5:30. Then I would drive home, and I would take Madison Kennedy to school. And then by 8 o'clock, I was in that field. And cucumbers come out of that field one way and one way only. It's a 5-gallon bucket. Then we'd load them up in my Jeep, and we'd drive to the Winston Lake YMCA, where we would wash the cucumbers, where we would pack the jars, and we would make pickles. And then we prayed. Somebody picked up our kids from school, and, you know, somebody fed them, because by the time we were done of our 10-hour day, basically, in that kitchen, we had to go back to that field. And we had to water it. And we had to, you know, get the weeds out of it, because cucumbers grow overnight. And then, guess what? The next day, we do the exact same thing. And we did that for 2 summers. And again, we look back now and we're like, I don't know what we were thinking. This is the Winston Lake YMCA. We have a partnership with them. We use their kitchen. And it's been a great partnership, because without them, we wouldn't be in business. And it's really funny, because I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. But I didn't know how I was going to do it. And each day, something new happened. And so this is the kitchen. And what happened was, they didn't have gas, okay? So I taught Piedmont Natural Gas into making a donation, which was $10,000 to get that kitchen upgraded with natural gas. We still go in there about once a month. Ashley makes the pickles now. I don't really make them because I'm traveling so much. But we still make gallon jars in that kitchen. In fact, she was there yesterday. But here was the most amazing thing. Last Thanksgiving, I get a phone call from the Y. And I said, hey, is everything okay? And they said, Jenny, we just had to call you. And I said, oh, Lord, what have I done now, right? Jenny, we fed 325 families for Thanksgiving because of that kitchen and the upgrade of the natural gas. That's amazing to me. Little did I know that pickles would end up feeding 325 people for Thanksgiving. Now that, you know, that tells you you're doing something right and you're doing what you're supposed to. One of our biggest fights, because again, it ain't all rosy, okay, in the pickle world. Well, this was our old label, and we thought we were so cool. But that is the saddest looking label ever. I was like, Ashley, really? What were we thinking? Well, again, we self-funded. So we had like $3,000 in the company checking account. And at the time, it was me and Ashley and our 2 husbands, okay, in the business, owners of the business. Well, I decided we got to do something. we're getting ready to get in Harris Teeter, and that jar is out of compliance with a couple of the fonts weren't big enough on the label, and I knew we had to be perfect because our motto, and my motto has been, we either do it right or we don't do it at all. Don't waste your time. Don't waste somebody else's time, okay? So I said, well, we got to change the label and we're going to fix it, right? So I talked to this guy. I said, you're going to do my new label. He was like, no, I'm not. You can't afford me. I said, I don't know why, but my gut tells me you're going to be the new label. And I said, I don't know you, but I'm born and raised in Forsyth County. I know everybody. Where do you live? And he said, you wouldn't know. I said, really? Try me. He said, I live in Stonecroft. And I said, really? Well, I live at 6104 Old Orchard Road. He said, oh, dear God, you live in the biggest house in the neighborhood. I said, yes, I do. He said, I'll do your label. I said, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, guess what? We had $3,000 in the bank. I spent $2,800 of it. I didn't ask Ashley. I didn't ask Bo. I went with my gut. It was the best decision we ever made. That label right there won an award for Atlantic Packaging. So it was really cool. This is our warehouse today. It's about 4,600 square feet. If you look in the very back, there's a red and blue door. That's where the pickles come in from our co-packer. Everything is made here in North Carolina, but we don't actually make our jars. We have a co-packer, and thank God we do, because we produce 8,000 cases at a time, okay? Me and Ashley couldn't have worked 24 hours a day for 2 years and produced that many jars of pickles. And so, if you're ever in Kernersville and you want to come to Pickle World, come on by. We pay you 5 cents to take the tour, and it's really cool. The other thing is, these were old R.J. Reynolds tobacco warehouses, so you had tobacco from the floor to the ceiling. So it's really perfect for us. This is the Fancy Food Show in New York City. We went in June of 2010. I said, Ashley, get in the car. She was like, we're not ready. We're not ready. I said, get in the car. We're going to New York. We got to do this. We got to go big. Well, guess what? She didn't talk to me the whole way. By the time the show started on Sunday, at 4 o'clock, I'm calling the airlines, and I'm saying, Ashley, get on the plane and go home and make pickles, because the show wasn't over till Tuesday. That's where we met Lowe's. That's where we met Dean and DeLuca. That's where we met National Store. That's where I met MSNBC, okay? And that's why I had to send her home, because we were flying. We were going. The other good thing, this is a fun little story, and I'll try to keep moving so that we can answer questions. We were in Atlanta. Food show. You cannot set up your booth unless you have a floor. It snowed in January of 2011. Our floor was stuck on a tractor trailer. And I said, Ashley, what are we going to do? She said, I don't know. I said, you're from Atlanta. Don't you have a friend? She was like, not with a floor. So I said, Lord, what are we going to do? Well, guess what? When you come up to a wall and you're thinking, I can't solve this problem, yes, you can. Step back. I said, well, there has to be like a Who's a Rental or a party place in town. I called him. I said, you got a dance floor I can rent for 3 days? He said, yeah. I said, and you'll deliver it and put it down and come back and pick it up in 3 days? Yes, ma'am. That's what we did. We had a dance floor. Everybody loved our floor, and we got a lot of business. We got to meet Paula Dean, associate, came in. She said, I just had to come see the dance floor. I've been hearing all about it. So just think about that, because me and Ashley were about to kill each other, and I don't know, God sent the message to me, get a dance floor, and I did. So it was good. This is what our booth looks like today. Think about that. Remember the 2 little girls sitting at the table? Look at how far we've come. Because again, we sell pickles, so we got to be pretty creative. This is a pretty good ride right there, because nobody tells you that you have the union and you can't take stuff out of your car and carry it to your booth. You must use the union worker. And he was really nice, by the way. You know how much that ride was for Ashley? That was an $800 ride. I said, stop, because I had just learned I was paying $800 to get my stuff. I got to have a picture of this moment, I was like, dear goodness. These are some of the shows we do. And you never know what my hair might look like. I change it all the time. That's our first award. It's very important to win an award, and I'll tell you why. Because we're trained to be the best, right? Well, I have 4 jars of pickles, and I'm going to go back if I can. Oh, watch me mess this up. Anyway, it always sounds better if you say, hey, would you like to try our signature salt and pepper? Or would you like to try my award-winning habanero bread and butter? Which one are you going to pick? 9 out of 10 people are going to pick the award-winning. So I didn't win an award for all 4, but I did win an award for my habanero bread and butter. In fact, we also won a Good Food Award with that one. And that's what my sign says, award winning. And if you look at my sign closely, it's award winning right in front of my habanero. But from the back of the room, it just looks like award winning pickles. So be creative, okay? Be creative. That's Mama's house, and that's where MSNBC came and did our story. And we were, if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you need to watch this show. It's 7:30 Sunday mornings, tape it's 30 minutes, and it's all about entrepreneurs all over the country. And if you have a good story, I'll send it to Frank, the producer, because we're still friends. Remember, you build relationships, you meet friends, and you have friendships that'll last. I met Paula Dean. She was fantastic, and she liked the pickles. We ended up being in her magazine, and it was like a business card ad. Okay, we were called Hidden Gem. We sold 125 jars of pickles from that ad within the first 2 hours it hit the shelf. It is crazy. The other thing is, we had to do a commercial. I needed a commercial. I called the School of the Arts in Winston-Salem, right? I said, I need a commercial. Can you help me? They said, I need $15,000. I said, okay, do you know how many pickles I got to sell to pay that $15,000? Not so much. So what I did was, I said, well, don't you have graduate students? So these guys were fantastic. They graduated from the film school, and they were shooting horror movies. And I was like, Nick, don't you need to diversify that portfolio and do a commercial? And so we got our very first commercial for $400. It was great. The other thing, Senator Hagan's been to our place in Pickle World. We've been featured on NPR. We do the Wyndham. I volunteer every Saturday, the Saturday, and it's at hole number 3. Do you want to know why I volunteer at the Wyndham? Because it says Miss Jenny's Pickles is a sponsor of the PGA. And so it makes me look a lot bigger because I'm in all the brochures with the PGA because I've been a Wyndham sponsor. So think about that. We've been featured on, I've been on QVC 9 times. I always wear green because when you look at me, I want you to think pickles, green pickles. And the other thing is, we were featured on Good Morning America, and this is a big story, and I'll tell it real quickly. Spark and Hustle is Tori Johnson, and what she does is she travels around the country and she does women day events. And so she came to Raleigh, North Carolina, and she likes to get local entrepreneurs to open it up. Well, it was a room about 500 people, and me and Ashley went and we did our story, and I knew that she was a syndicate of Good Morning America. She does deals and steals, and this was in June, and everybody laughed and they loved my story and everybody was good. And so Tori's like, Jenny, you did great. I said, thank you. I want to be on Good Morning America right in front of everybody. And she was like, really? I said, yeah, I want the pickles on Good Morning America. And she said, how many units can you produce? And remember, Ashley's behind me. And I forgot to tell y'all, but I'm the gas, she's the brakes, okay, of the car. We've never seen anybody drive the car without either one. Well, Ashley's behind me, and I'm not looking at her. I can't look at her because I know she's going to kill me. Because I said, 10,000. And Tori looks at me, and she said, really, 10,000? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, that's my minimum. So had I said 8,000, we wouldn't have been on TV. So Ashley's like, gonna kill me because she does all the inventory and the shipping, and I don't do any of that anymore. And so guess what happened? She put us on Good Morning America within 2 weeks, and she told everybody in that room, do y'all want Jenny on TV? And they were like, yeah. But do you know why I got our pickles on Good Morning America and they were only on for 7 seconds? Because I asked. Nobody ever asked. And just know this, when they tell you no, don't take it personal. It just means timing's not right. It's okay. But we sold 1,800 units from 7 seconds on Good Morning America. So think about that. We export to China, to Canada, to the UK. Do you know why I wanted to export? Because nobody else does. It's really hard to find pickles, American-made pickles, in China. But guess what? This is the other cool thing is, we have to pay slotting to have pickles here in some of the grocery stores, right? And that's 4 facings, my 4 jars. In China, look at my facing. Look at all those jars of pickles. And they're on the 2nd row, eye level. 95% of the world lives outside the United States, okay? So it's real important for me to be a trendsetter. And I told Ashley in January 2011, I said, we're going to export this year. I don't know where, but we're going to export. And we did. And guess what? We've sent pickles to China now 3 different times. We've exported to Canada 6 times and to the UK twice. So remember, the other thing is, I've been to the Great Wall because of pickles. This is crazy. Think about it. I mean, not many people can say that. The other thing is, 60 Minutes. Scott Pelley came to Pickle World. Nicest man. I'm madly in love with him. He was so great. He just walks in. He said, Jenny, I'm Scott. And I said, well, I'm Jenny. Welcome to Pickle World. And away we went. And so 20 million people saw that. Let me tell you something. This thing's way bigger than me because Superstorm Sandy hit at 11 p.m. that Sunday night. Had she hit the East Coast at 11 a.m., our story would have never been on TV. They'd have just scrapped it because of the situation. But 20 million people saw that, and it was great. So somebody asked me when I had an aha moment, because a lot of times you're saying, we can't do this, can't make it, can't make it. Well, when you're on 60 Minutes because of pickles, you're going to make it. How, I don't know, but you're going to make it. And that's what we've done. The other thing is, I did testify. In fact, last week, I was at the Capitol doing export, but I had the pleasure of testifying in front of subcommittee in Congress. And again, I just can't reiterate the fact, it's pickles. Pickles are my passion. I love them. I loved them before I started the company, and I love them even more today. So figure out your passion. I got to take my girls, there's Madison and Kennedy, to Congress. And, you know, you can do anything. Lord, if I can do this with pickles, you can do it with anything. The other thing is, I had the pleasure of introducing Vice President Biden. And I'll just tell you, when you got 5 minutes of your life you don't need back, go to YouTube and watch it. It's so funny because I forget to tell 1,200 people to sit down. And I tell Vice President Biden, good luck, when I leave the stage. And I was like, he was like, Jenny, you just told me good luck. Well, he was great. He was very kind to me. So it's fun to watch. Watch it all the way to the end. And he's laughing because I forgot to tell 1,200 people to sit down. The other thing is, I've been to Hong Kong. That is Secretary Francis. There were 150 U.S. companies at that show. He picked 3 to go to. And everybody said, oh, I hope he picks me. I said, well, he's coming to my booth. I didn't know. I just believe. You've got to believe. And it works. The other thing is, I was in Germany in October. I did the Anuga show. I got to go by London on the way home. This, again, is because of pickles. And do you know that Germans eat $15 billion is their pickle industry. Don't you think I want to export to Germany? In the U.S., it's a $2 billion industry. Russia is $22 billion industry of pickles. So I'm all about some exporting. Hey, this is our current partners. We just got in Kroger. We're in other fresh markets. We're working on Food Line. So we're going to get there too. But also the other thing I want to show you is this is who's done our story. And I have only spent $700 in advertising. That's it. And the only reason I did that is because they said I had to, and that was Rock 92. And I said, well, I'm only going to spend that money if I'm live on the radio. And the little sales girl said, never going to happen. I said, okay, well, I'm not going to spend $700 on advertising. Well, guess what? She called me back the next day, and she said, you're live on the radio with Chris and Chris. Ask for what you want, okay? But all of that's been done. And I paid $300 for a yearbook ad, of course, at East Forsyth, where Madison goes to school. But you can get a lot done. With today's time, social media and Twitter and Facebook. And by the way, please like us on Facebook. It matters. It really does. Plus, you can see all the crazy things I do, because we blow up some Facebook. We have 4 flavors. If you can answer these 2 questions, dill or sweet, hot or not, we have the Miss Jenny's pickle for you. And when you come to a taste test, we don't say, would you like to try a pickle? Never. We say, do you want to try Miss Jenny's pickles? Because that's what it is. It's building the brand, it's owning the brand, and telling people who you are. And the other thing I do, and I'm going to ask each and every one of you, when you go buy that jar of pickles and you pull that jar off, make sure you pull the next one forward. Straighten my shelves, please. I can't be everywhere. It matters. I got people in D.C. taking a before and after picture of my shelf. You make a difference in small business, and I want to say thank you. And this girl called me yesterday. I met her in the airport. It was so busy, there was nowhere to sit. And I said, you can have lunch with me. She called me. She said, Jenny, I went to the store and I bought a jar of your pickles, and your voice came in my head, said, fix the shelf. So I'm putting my voice in your head. Please fix the shelf. Flying home, I saw the most beautiful sunset sunset I'd ever seen. And I told Bo, I said, look out the window. And he was like, what, Jenny? Because at that point, I was stressed out. We didn't have enough money for inventory. Pickles had got damaged. You know, if a truck wrecks and the pickles crash, they're gone. You can't eat them, right? Well, then the store up north was mad because they didn't get their pickles delivered. So, I mean, I was just in a tizzy. I looked out the window and I said, gosh, God does that every day. What am I worried about? He's brought me this far. We're going to get through this. And to me, it was a moment of stopping and realizing sometimes you just got to be present in the moment and enjoy it, because I worry about stuff all the time and I can't do that. I want to say thank you. Please buy pickles. We will make more. And with that, I'll answer questions or anything. But thank you again for letting me share my story.
Miss Jenny, thank you. That's fun and inspiring.
Thank you.
I want to ask anybody who has a question of Miss Jenny. Maybe you've got an idea you want to run by her, or simply a question about what she's done, about her company. If you have a question, why don't you come down here? Excuse me, folks. Just come on down here and we'll let you ask that question. I have one. I'm mindful of Ted Turner, who started CNN, of course, and the concept of the superstation, WTBS in Atlanta. Ted Turner would try anything. He had guts and no fear. And I got to thinking, part of business is ideas. Part of business is having the guts to pursue them. Jenny, I know it's an iffy thing, but percentage-wise, how much of success in business is guts? How much is the idea?
Thank you for the question, because I would say percentage-wise, in my world, everybody's different, but it's 70% guts and 30% idea. The key to success is three things: people, process, product. People make the difference. People are the only difference, because the process can be fixed and you go back and say, hey, where'd the process break down? And as long as you've got a really good product, but you got to have the guts and you got to have the people who are willing to take that risk. Just like the label, okay? The other thing is, there's a real quick, if you want to hear another little funny story, is the guy calls me and says, 60 Minutes is going to call you. You're never going to be on TV. And all that did was tell me, oh, yes, I am. Okay? So he said, the producer's going to call you. So the guy calls, he says, Jenny, it's Bob Anderson from 60 Minutes. I went, hey, Bob, how are you today? Blew him away. And he said, we're doing a story. And I said, well, it's your lucky day, because I'm in Connecticut right now, and you live in New York. I can come by on Saturday on my way home and see you. He was like, that's not necessary. That was gutsy on my part, right?
It was.
Okay, guess what happened? He said, I just need to ask you a few questions. And I said, yes, sir. And I was like, He called back Friday. He said, Jenny, let's have coffee. And I got my wish, because I took the guts to ask him. Not many people will do that. What do you got to lose? I mean, really, they say no, but they don't mean it. I mean, they don't. They just don't.
Maybe the most lethal thing in your life, if you have an idea, is to be frozen by the fear to put it out there.
100% agree with you. I mean, you know, life's too short. You got to take a chance. And you'll have this great idea, and your little voice will start saying, hey, you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But you also got to be smart enough to listen to the people. You know, we did fried pickles on QVC. They were great, all natural, breaded, panko breading. I lost so much money on that deal. I was like, but I had in my head, QVC, this is good. But you know what? Frozen department, frozen item, totally different than shelf stable, okay? You got to have a frozen truck to drive those pickles. You got to deliver them in dry ice. And, you know, I had a good idea. I should have listened and researched a little more on that one, but that's okay. Failures is what makes us successful. It just isn't straight up. So when I fall, I really learned something. But, you wipe yourself off and get up and do it again.
What freezes most of us simply is fear of failure. Most successful people in the world have failed somewhere, haven't they?
Well, you're not going to be successful unless you do fail. I'm just going to tell you. And we've made several failures. If you're going to be an entrepreneur and you have a question, call me. I've made the mistakes, okay? I'll save you time and money. I'll be glad to help you. But every successful person I know has had a lot of failures, and sometimes those are the biggest successes.
Anybody else have a question? Come on down, give you the mic, ask the question.
We're all friends.
In listening to Jenny's presentation, so many things came to my mind. I'm sure that at some point you've all seen the Andy Griffith Show. Jenny, have you seen the episode where Aunt Bee enters the county fair pickle contest? Aunt Bee thought she made great pickles, and she was so proud to serve them to family and friends. And she served them at dinner at her house one night. And of course, Sheriff Andy was there, little Opie, Ronnie Howard, and Deputy Barney Fife. And boy, she was pushing those pickles just as hard as she could. And Barney bit into one of them, and Aunt Bee went in the kitchen. Barney says to Andy, "Andy, no way can I eat another one of those kerosene cucumbers." Mm-hmm. So the pickle industry, and the next door neighbor had won 13 blue ribbons in a row. So Aunt Bee was anxious to unseat her. She wasn't going to do that, was she, Jane?
No, I've seen it. Everybody talks about it. And again, it goes back to one of my earlier statements. Friends and family lie. They don't want to. They don't want to hurt your feelings. And Barney and Andy didn't want to hurt Aunt Bee's feelings. So that's why they suffered through those kerosene pickles.
Oh yeah, he told Aunt Bee they were delicious. Mm-hmm. Delicious.
Yes.
But family do lie.
Yeah.
Question, Eric.
You mentioned that you were on a subcommittee. You gave testimony before a subcommittee. I've been racking my brain. How did you get pickles into that? Right?
I just
to be
did
able
it.
to talk about.
Yeah, nobody has ever put pickles in on the table. So sometimes this is really good advice. Charlie Shelton gave me this advice because, again, I went to research and talk to people who had been successful, and I go up to Charlie and I said, "Charlie, I want to start a pickle business." He said, "Okay, all right, this sounds good. I like pickles." And I'm getting somewhere with this, so stay with me. And I like to tell stories because I'm visual. But he said, "Jenny, my festival is on Saturday, and I'm not going to charge you $100. Come up here, set up your tent, see if you can sell pickles." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, me and Ashley go to pickle school, and we don't graduate until Wednesday. And we have to make the pickles, and they got to sit for 7 to 10 days before we can sell them." He said, "Jenny, do you know how to make pickles?" "Yes, sir." He said, "Make the before you go to school. Go to school, get your certificate, and I'll see you on Saturday." Sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. And so that's exactly what I did in Congress. I just didn't ask permission, and I just set them up there. And then one of the congressmen said, "How did she get pickles in here?" And I'm just looking around, you just do it, And anytime you have an opportunity to promote your product, I do it. But there wasn't a sign on the door saying I couldn't, so I did it. And they were like laughing, going, "How in the world?" Just do it. Go with your gut.
And her phone number is on every jar.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
When you buy a car, is the General Motors or Chrysler or Ford CEO's phone number somewhere on the car where you can just call them, tell them what you think of the car? I don't think too many CEOs' phone numbers are readily available. It's one of those deals where you ask and they say, "I'd give it to you, but then I'd have to kill you." Mm-hmm. They don't want your calls, but Miss Jenny does because she really wants to know.
Yeah, my name's on that jar. So I own it, and I want it to be the best. And if you like it, call me. If you don't, call me. Another thing is, it worked out great. This is a great story. I don't know where I was. I was traveling, This lady calls the number on the jar. I'm like, Jenny Fulton? She's like, I can't open my jar of pickles. And I said, okay, where do you live? She was like, High Point. I said, okay, trust me, I'm not going to come rob you. I'm going to send Ashley over there with a jar opener, and she's going to open your jar of pickles. She was like, really? She was like 85 years old. She couldn't get the jar open. I sent Ashley right over. Do you not think I got a customer for life? I do. And you know what? Ashley enjoyed it. And then I said, Ashley, where are you? She was like, Greensboro. I said, go to High Point. Go to this address and open this jar of pickles for this nice lady who is supporting us. We started by selling one jar. Then we sold cases. Now we sell pallets. And we've done a half a truckload. My next big goal is to do a truckload or a container of pickles. Containers, 20 pallets. So that's a big deal. But yeah, I mean, it serves a purpose. And if you're going to do something, own it. Otherwise, don't do it, you know?
Let me add one more thing. Jenny said when you buy a jar of her pickles, pull that next one up to the front so it's visible. Now, grocery titans like Ralph Kettner and I was a bagger. Didn't reach quite up to Ralph's level, but we were kind of in that thing together. I was at Harold's Finer Foods, a one-store business. Ralph couldn't count his. He had a whole bunch. And what we did, I spent a lot of time facing up the shelves. Get them right out there so all your friends can see and buy Miss Jenny's pickles. I want to add my thanks to Ralph, to Statewide Title for sponsoring this. Ralph Kettner's done so much in this community, but you know what I think of most when I think of Ralph Kettner is we have, because he has an office right around the corner from me in the Kettner building, I have on an almost daily basis the pleasure of his company. He's one of the nicest living humans. So thank you so much, Ralph and Statewide Title, for sponsoring this. Jenny?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I can't thank y'all enough for coming out. It warms my heart when people want to hear the pickle story. And Mr. Kettner, I want to say thank you. I hope I made you proud, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Let's turn to Dr. Eric Hake. He's the chair of Business and Economics, and he'll close this show for us.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed Ms. Jenny's presentation. I know that we have many, many things to think about. I am going to go ahead and follow some of her advice and go ahead and ask for what I'd like you to do. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and hold on to your presentation, your form from today. And if you look on the back, we got a couple upcoming events. If you enjoyed this, we have the business plan competition, the big idea, and we're going to be having a presentation associated with that on April 30th. We're also going to have an event associated with the Catawba College Institute of Business and Accounting. If anybody here is interested in some CPA or CLE credits, this is the Business of Sports that's going to be on May 2nd. And we have a program developed by our director, Frank Farina, to talk about business of sports, accounting programs, and those two events are coming up from the Kettner School of Business. Right now, we do have the opportunity to think a little bit more, share some time together, thinking about the presentation that we've got to hear, maybe have the opportunity to pitch your idea directly to Jenny, and we'll do that in the outside, actually. Instead of in the Crystal Peeler Lounge, we've gotten set up some appetizers, refreshments, and I think it's a good time to adjourn for that. Would like to thank Ms. Fulton again for all of her time.